name's Adam Roberts, and I'm talking to you today from the Southern Cross Melbourne campus, which is where I'm based. We're very lucky to have our staff from all around the world joining us, and you'll get a chance to meet them in a few minutes. But just before we kick off, I'd just like to remind everyone that the reason that you've been invited to this presentation today is that your agency has previously had a contract with Southern Cross main campuses. So your agency has previously been recruiting into the Gold Coast and Lismore and Coffs Harbour. As of 2 weeks ago, we have combined the agency contracts, and your agency is now able to recruit into the Sydney, Melbourne and Perth campuses. So all of that happens under a new combined contract that covers Gold Coast, Lismore and Coffs Harbour. It now also includes Melbourne, Sydney, Perth, which is a very, very good development. So what we're going to do today, all of you are familiar with the main campuses. Today, we're going to introduce you to the metro campuses, Sydney, Melbourne, Perth. We're going to introduce you to our staff that are based around the world to support you. We're going to quickly run through which courses are available at the metro campuses and talk a little bit about the different services we have. We're then going to have John Crowder, who heads up our admissions team, talk a little bit about our awesome admissions process, genuine student requirements, and how that works. So just to start from scratch, many of you are probably aware that Southern Cross has Sydney, Melbourne and Perth campuses. In the past, those campuses have been run by a company called Educo, but as of December last year, Educo, or that part of Educo, has now moved into the university. So it's called SCU Ventures, but that now means that the branch campuses are part of the university. So that's what's behind the new agency contract that covers all of the Southern Cross campuses. But there are still some very important differences. So the metro campuses still have their own recruitment team, and you're going to meet a lot of them today. The metro campuses still has our own admissions team, and you're going to hear from John today. And we also have a smaller number of courses that we offer at the metro campuses, which we'll run through. But just to start things off, I'd like to introduce you to some of the key contacts in our recruitment team around the world. Many of these staff have been working with Southern Cross and Educo for more than 10 years. Some of them, such as our onshore staff, are quite new, but there's one thing that they all have in common, and that's that their job is to be the most responsive, most supportive university representative team out there. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to work out who your contact is at the metro campuses, and then make sure you connect with them, put them on WhatsApp or WeChat and get in touch with them. Their job is to support you and make it easier for you to do your job. So I'd like to introduce some of our team that are around the world. One of our newer staff members down here in the sunny city of Melbourne is Maria. Maria, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Maria, and really happy to be part of the most responsive recruitment team in the world. I'm based in Melbourne, and it's really wonderful to see so many familiar faces and so many faces. I'll be representing, all of SCU, but I'm based in Melbourne, but also really helping with the Perth campus as well. So I'm really looking forward to being in touch with you and helping you out. We've got so many amazing courses that are available on our metro campuses, and really, really happy to be part of the team and to be helping you with your students.
All righty, good one. Thanks, Maria. Maria's just been with us for about 3 months, but doing an awesome job down in Melbourne. Also in Australia, we have Laura, who's based on our Sydney campus. Laura, would you like to say g'day?
Hi, good day from sunny Sydney. I'm Laura. I'm as new as Maria, joined SCU Venture about 3 months ago. But I'm not new in this industry though, so I'm really glad to reconnect with many old friends here. alongside with Maria, I'm looking after the onshore market, and I'm mainly focused on New South Wales and Queensland. So for those who are based in New South Wales and Queensland, I'll be your main contact person.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I'll introduce the heads of our offshore team who lead the different regions. I think all of them have been with Southern Cross and Educo for more than 10 years. So they're all experts. They're very, very old, very wise. I might start off there with Mr. Chami, who's in Sri Lanka.
Thank you, Sir Adam, and hi everyone. So my name is Chami Jayama. So most of you probably would have worked with me before, so I can see a lot of familiar faces. And I'll look after South Asia, so which I have a team members based in. If I start with Mr. Imrul, so who based in Bangladesh, and also we got Sujina, who based in Nepal, and she also looks after Bhutan. We got Miss Donna, who based in Sri Lanka, looking after Sri Lanka, and we got Mr. Etisam based in Pakistan, and also he covers a part of Middle East. So if you have any inquiries about South Asia, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Middle East, either Pakistan, so you can see my team members' contact details are there already, and either you could reach out to me, so we'll be there to help you and support you 24/7. And it's good to be back and working with you, and we're here to help you at any given time. And thanks, everyone. And Sir Adam, it's back to you.
All right. Thank you, Chami. Good to hear you're working 24/7. All right. Let's go next to Mr. Pankaj, who's in the same region but based in India. Pankaj.
Thank you, Sir Adam. Hi, everyone. Welcome on board. And we are very delighted to have all of you on this call with us. My name is Pankaj and I'm based in India. So I lead the team here in India. So I'm with this group from last 10 years now, as Adam mentioned. And I got two team members in India. So one is based in South. Her name is Sandra. So she's going to look after South, West, and Central part of the region. And then we got the second team member who's based in Delhi. His name is Ankit, and Ankit looks after North and Eastern part of the country. So as a team here in India, those who are based in India, we look forward to work very, very closely with all of you. And you can capture our contact details from this slide. And after this webinar, our team will be in touch with you just to plan some sort of trainings, intros, and events. And I think that will be a good starting point for us to start promoting our metro campuses with your offices across India. So that's it from India. So I'll pass it on to Sir Adam.
Okay, thank you, Pankaj. And last but not least, we have Mr. John Dizon in the Philippines, who looks after the rest of the world in his spare time.
Thank you, Adam. I'm John, and welcome to SCU Ventures. We're happy to have you with us, part of the family. I'm John Dizon. I've been working with SCU and previously Educo for the past 12.5 years. I'm overseeing the Southeast Asia and emerging market recruitment. When we say emerging market, that would include Southeast Asia, North Asia, Latin America, Africa, and even Europe. So apart from that, I'm also in charge of the recruitment operations. So you could treat me as an additional go-to person when you have any queries about your commission,
the right word,
your incentives, or your agent contracts, or even issues with studying. So on the part of recruitment, I'm proud to introduce two of the most passionate customer service oriented persons that I know. Starting off with Wong, who's based in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. She's in charge of overseeing not just Vietnam, but also the Southeast Asian market. So maybe a quick hi, Wong.
Yeah, thanks, Adam and John. Very happy to be part of the SCU Ventures. So, and I'm very happy today to have the opportunity to meet with the own agents And I'm Hương. I'm based in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. And I have been with SCU Ventures for almost 2 years. And really, I'm always be here to support you in terms of everything regarding the SCU Ventures. So I look forward to receiving your continued support for both ventures and the main campus. Thank you.
Thank you, Wong. And we also have Angel, who's based here in the Philippines, the same office as mine, and she's in charge not just of the Philippines, but also the other emerging markets like North Asia, Europe, Latin America, and Africa. So, Angel, quick hi.
Everyone, good morning, good afternoon. My name is Angel, plus Grace. So I'll be your main contact for any offshore applications coming from different countries like Philippines, North Asia, Africa, Latin America, and Europe. So I'll try my best to be an angel and also show a lot of grace. Looking forward to work closely, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Angel. So you may treat them as your additional resource in anything related to Southern Cross University. So thank you again, and over to you, Adam.
Okay, good one. Thank you, John. All right, now we've just had quite a large number of people join us late. Just to recap on the reason we're running this webinar today. In the past, Southern Cross, Sydney, Melbourne, and Perth was run by Educo. That business has now become part of Southern Cross University, but we still have a separate recruitment team and we have a separate admissions team. So what we're doing today is introducing you to all of the staff that look after the metro campuses and talking you through how to send students into Sydney, Melbourne, Perth. So to get down to some basics about what happens on those campuses, Sydney, Melbourne, Perth. So first of all three of those campuses are based right downtown in the city centres. They're easily accessible by public transport, which means it's easy for students to get there from where they live, and also that's where the jobs are in our city. So awesome locations. Now, when we set up those campuses 10 years ago, we picked the most popular courses from Southern Cross main campuses and we rolled them out across our campuses. So what you see on the screen there is a summary of the courses that we offer. The course duration, the course content is exactly the same as Southern Cross up at the main campus. It's just delivered in a different site. So you can see in here that we offer the suite of business programs. Bachelor of Business, MBA are the popular ones. We have undergraduate and postgraduate IT courses. And from next year, we'll also be offering the Master of Computing, which has cybersecurity and software development. We run the MEM MBA double degree, which is a 2-year qualification that specializes in engineering and management. And we've recently launched the education programs in our campuses. So we started the graduate diploma of education in the intake that just happened in the last couple of weeks. Very popular 1-year graduate diploma course that's now running in Sydney and Melbourne. It'll be launching in Perth from T1 next year. So February 2025, the grad dip will also be running in Perth. And the Master of Teaching will be launching in Melbourne, Sydney, and Perth from T1 next year as well. So really popular postgrad education programs that we're offering there. From later next year, we're also going to be starting to offer the social work courses that are popular at the main campus. But at the moment, these are the courses that you can apply for. You'll notice with courses like education that our tuition fees are the same as the main campus. We will circulate this presentation later. There's no need to put your email in the chat. We are going to send it out to everyone. But just to remind everyone, we offer undergrad, postgrad, IT, business, engineering, and also the education courses. One thing to note with the Master of Teaching that's launching from T1 next year, we're initially just going to be focusing on early childhood because that's the highest demand area in the market out there for both students and jobs at the moment. So the courses, same content, same duration as the Southern Cross main campus that you would be used to. With the graduate diploma of education, we have a model where if a student is in Australia on a 485 visa, so they're not on a student visa, they can come to class and attend face-to-face, or they can study remotely. So in Sydney and Melbourne, for the intake we just had, a student signs up as a face-to-face student, but if they're not on a student visa, they can access recordings and access the classes remotely. So they've got complete flexibility to either come to the campus or to study remotely. And that's something that's very unique in the market. With other providers, you either sign up for face-to-face or you sign up for online. We offer a model where a student can get the best of both worlds for those courses. So we've seen a huge amount of interest in that graduate diploma program since we launched it, because it is very unique. We also have multiple intakes. The next intake's coming up in August. And if your students in Australia, they can apply all the way up until the 24th of August. So you've still got 5 weeks to recruit students into Sydney and Melbourne graduate diploma intake, which is starting next month. All right. Outside of the courses, we do offer some special programs at the Metro campuses to help the students while they're in Australia. So something that students were always asking us for was assistance in how to prepare for going and getting a job. So we put together this program called Career Edge. It's accessible for all students in Sydney, Melbourne, and Perth. And what we do is we run a series of sessions with students where we teach them how to look for a job, how to apply for a job, how to do an interview, but then also what it's like working in Australia, because a lot of these students, as you'd know, they don't have an Australian work experience, and it really helps them to have someone teaching them how to get into the job market. At the end of the program, we can help place the student into an internship. And for students that have done that in the past, there's a high percentage of students that have ended up working in a paid job for those companies after they graduate. So this is called the Career Edge program. It's exclusively available in Sydney, Melbourne, Perth. It's free of charge. All the student needs to do is sign up for it when they come down to our campus and start one of the programs. We'd highly recommend that course to students, and it will definitely give them an advantage in getting a job after they graduate from one of the Southern Cross programs. Now, we do run a scholarship program, Sydney, Melbourne, and Perth. Every single student that applies to one of our courses will get a scholarship. The minimum amount that a student will get is $5,000, discount from the first year, up to $8,000. Now, it depends on the course that the student's applying for, where they're applying from, but the minimum scholarship is $5,000. In fact, most of our students get an $8,000 scholarship when they start. For the second year onwards, the scholarship depends on the student's GPA. If they can achieve a 5.5, they can achieve the highest amount of scholarship, which is $8,000. They get a lower GPA, they can get a $5,000 scholarship. So you don't need to fill out any extra forms. Every application is automatically evaluated for a scholarship. It comes out on the offer letter. It covers the first year. Going into the second year, the amount of scholarship depends on how the students performed. So we have a pretty simple, easy to understand, easy to promote scholarship program that's there as well. Just to mention, with the most popular program, the Graduate Diploma of Education, it already has very affordable tuition fees. You'll notice here the fees are about $31,520. Every student receives a $5,000 scholarship. Some students can receive an $8,000 scholarship if they've got a GPA of 5 out of 7, and that brings that down to about $23,000, which means it's one of the most affordable graduate diplomas of education that's out there in the market. So you'll find that not only do we have very popular courses, but we're also priced very competitively in the market as well. So that's how our scholarship program works. I'm now going to hand over to Mr. John Crowder. For those of you that don't know him, John is a little bit of a legend in the industry. He's previously run admissions for RMIT, Deakin University. He's a migration lawyer. He's an expert on what's happening with student visas and other visas. I don't want to steal his thunder, but he also has probably the best turnaround time of any public university in Australia. So very, very high level of service from the admissions team. So Mr. John Crowder, how's that for an intro? I'll hand over to you, okay?
Thanks very much, Adam, and good afternoon, everyone. A real pleasure to be with you here this afternoon. I won't take too much of your time because admissions is something that I'm sure you're all very familiar with, having worked with Main Campus for as long as you have. As Adam has already mentioned, SCU Ventures has its own admissions team. And whilst our entry requirements are obviously the same as Main Campus in terms of academic and English requirements, sometimes the genuine student requirements may be a little bit different. And the reason for that is the risk profiles for different campuses are obviously different. The risk profile for Main Campus compared to our campuses can be different depending on where the student is from. So we have a slightly different approach when it comes to GSR, and the reason for that is to ensure that every student has the best possible chance of getting a visa grant, either onshore or offshore. You'll all be aware of the significant changes in the sector and the impediments that have been put in place. Once before, onshore was a very safe market, whereas now we're seeing even onshore students are being targeted and visas refused. So we want to make sure that any student applying to Southern Cross University Ventures is in the best possible position to get a visa grant. Adam, if you wouldn't mind stopping sharing that one, I will just share my screen now. Thank you. So I'm going to take you through a tool that we use at SCU Ventures that will be really useful for you. This is the SCU Ventures website. So just https://scuventures.com.au. This will bring you through to our homepage, and down on the bottom right-hand button here, this lowest yellow button, you will see GSR and Admissions Guide. This is a tool that you can check in real time exactly what the admissions team is looking at in terms of entry requirements and the genuine student requirements. So let's say, for example, you are from India. All you need to do is type in India in the search bar. And on the left-hand side here, you will see this accordion drop-down list of different items. The first one you will see is the statement of purpose. Now, if a statement of purpose, what we now call the genuine student statement, is required, you will have the link to that here. So obviously, India being a level 3 country, a genuine student statement is definitely required. If you click on that link, it will take you through to the university genuine student statement. Now, this statement is consistent across the university. So the genuine student statement being used by Main Campus is the same genuine student statement that we are using at SCU Ventures as well. So you can find a link to that in there. The documents required for an application to be successfully submitted are all outlined for you here. You will see the link to the StudyLink portal. So all applications should be lodged via StudyLink. And most students will be required to lodge an application through an agent, particularly all students from level 2 and 3 countries. Onshore students may apply directly through the StudyLink student portal. Now, Adam mentioned earlier, in terms of our turnaround times, we have done a lot of work and are very proud of the turnaround times that we can offer. And we can guarantee you 24 hours or less turnaround times if you provide us with all of the documents you need. Now, the 24-hour turnaround times applies to both offers and responses. So if you lodge an application and that application is missing documentation and we're unable to proceed with the application until you provide us with those documents, we will get back to you within 24 hours telling you what is missing and what we need to progress the application further. Similarly, if you lodge a complete application, we will issue an offer within 24 hours. In fact, most offers will be issued within 12 hours. If they come in during the day, the team will process them and get them out straight away. So we will guarantee those turnaround times for you. In terms of GSR assessment, we have a 5 business day turnaround time on the assessment of the genuine student requirement. Now, many students will be completed in less than 5 business days, but we give ourselves that much time just in case we need to follow up on further documents. But most of those genuine student requirements will be processed within a 5 business day period. The way that we work, again, it is slightly different to what Main Campus does. We do interview all students from Section 2 and 3 countries. We don't want to waste your time or a student's time. So we will conduct the interviews upfront. So what our process is the application arrives in our queue through StudyLink. The admissions team will assess that application to see if the student meets the academic and English requirements. Once they have met those academic requirements, we will issue a provisional offer. That provisional offer goes out within 24 hours and is basically telling you the student has met the academic entry requirements. We are making an offer that is subject to a genuine student interview if required. As I said, all students from level 2 and 3 countries will require that. They are generally not required for onshore students or students from level 1 countries. Once the student passes that genuine student interview, we will then issue a conditional offer. The difference between the provisional offer and the conditional offer is that the provisional offer is telling you that the student has met academic and English requirements, if English was provided, and inviting them to attend an interview. Once they pass the interview, the conditional offer will then basically say, give you the other documents that we require to finalize the application. This will be the genuine student documents, such as the financial documents, the genuine student statement, etc. We used to do our interviews at the end of the process, but what we found was happening was that students would pass the statement part of the assessment, more often than not because someone was helping them write the statement. So they did very good statements. They gave us all their documents. Then they did the interview and failed the interview. So this is wasting a lot of time, both for yourselves as the agent and for the student. So having the interview up front ensures that the student has a chance of getting through the process. If they don't pass the interview, we don't take the application any further. Students are automatically given the chance of a second interview if they score the minimum requirement to allow a second interview. So for us, to pass the interview, a student requires a score of 80%. If they get a score between 70 and 79%, we will automatically schedule a new interview for them, so they get a second chance. If they score below 70%, we do not take the application any further because this tells us the student has not prepared at all. Once they have got through that interview and the conditional offer is issued, we would encourage you to provide all of those documents on the conditional offer as soon as possible so we can then finalize the application, issue the full offer once the conditions have been met, and the student can then accept their offer. Particularly important nowadays for students offshore. As we all know, the immigration turnaround times for offshore students currently is at least 8 weeks. So we would ideally look at getting those acceptances in as early as possible. So just quickly on the documents, we require academic transcripts, a colour copy of the passport biodata page. If the student is married, we must have a copy of their marriage certificate. If they have backlogs, we require a backlog statement. If the student is applying for advanced standing and meets the requirements for advanced standing, they need to complete the advanced standing application form. And again, a link is available to that document there. With the genuine student requirement, we do need the genuine student statement completed. If the student has been working, we need work reference letters. And if the student has had a previous visa refusal or cancellation letter, we do need copies of those documents as well. If we've got all of those documents, we can get to that offer to you very quickly. The academic requirements will all be outlined here. I won't spend any time going through this because it's obviously different for every country. As I said, you can just type your country in the search bar and that will bring up the academic requirements for your country. This one is, as I said, looking at India. And you will see the undergraduate requirements and postgraduate requirements listed very clearly there. Just for reference, if you're an onshore agent, the requirements for onshore are slightly different to offshore. So if your student is from India, but they are onshore, you would type onshore into the search bar, not India. And that will bring up the requirements for onshore students. Generally speaking, onshore students, we don't require evidence of finances, etc. So it's worthwhile typing in onshore if the student is an onshore student. Financial requirements, again, these may be different depending on the country, but generally speaking, for level 2 and 3 countries, our financial requirements are listed very clearly here. We also have a checklist at the bottom of that section, so you can see the financial checklist with a list of documents that helps you understand the sorts of things that we need and you can provide that to us quickly with that checklist. The minimum GSR requirements, we do have age limitations for students. These should be similar or the same as what main campus has. And again, these age requirements are slightly different depending on where the student is from. You'll find the gap requirements, any limitations around marital status. So we do not permit married couples for undergraduate students. Postgraduate students, yes, we do allow married couples, but they must have been married for at least 12 months at the time of application. Any other specific GSR information you can find there as well. The specific genuine student requirements, again, completion of the genuine student statement. The finances must be listed as requested, and the interview. Again, interviews are required for all students from level 2 and 3 countries. We do provide students with a significant amount of information on how to prepare for the interview, and the interview pass rates are very high. If the students have availed themselves of the reference material we provide, generally they will pass the interview. You can find the English language requirements for our courses there, and the whether or not ELICOS pathways are permitted. This one, as I said earlier, is for India. We are currently not allowing ELICOS pathways for students from level 3 countries in particular. So again, this tool is really useful for you. We can put that in the chat box if it's not already there. And you can go through that and check that in your own time. So again, myself and my team are here to help. I am always available and more than happy for you to contact me directly if you have any admissions queries that you can't get resolved. I will put my email address in the chat box as well. And that is there now. So more than happy for you to contact me if need be. So thank you again for your time, and I'll pass back to Adam.
All right, good one. Thank you, John. And I note a comment there from our old friend Kalana in Melbourne. He says some people, old people like us, are blind. They couldn't see the font. But the good news is that everyone can log straight onto that website. I've just updated it in the chat there again, and you can check out all of the details. John and the admissions team are very good in publishing very specific details for students, so you can check that out there. What I'd suggest now, we've still got some minutes. If anyone has any questions that they'd like to ask myself or John or one of the offshore team, please drop those questions in the chat. While you're doing that, I'll just go over some of the key points for anyone that missed the start of the presentation. So firstly, as a Southern Cross University agent who's previously recruited for the main campuses, which are Gold Coast, Lismore, Coffs Harbour, you now have access to Melbourne and Sydney and Perth. All of those campuses are included in the new agent contracts that were sent out 2 weeks ago. You should be able to see our campuses appear in StudyLink. You just need to look for Southern Cross, keep scrolling down, and you'll see Sydney, Melbourne, and Perth. If there's any questions with that, or you need help at all recruiting into the metro campuses, these are your contacts. We have staff onshore in Australia and offshore in all of the key markets. A lot of these staff have been with us for more than 10 years, and they're very, very focused on being responsive and getting back to you quickly. So please connect with them and use them to help you with your recruitment and conversion. Unlike the main campuses, we've just picked some of the most popular courses. So we have courses in business, IT, computing, engineering, and also education that are running. These courses all have T1, T3, T5 intakes, and some of them now have T4 intakes. Just to focus on the most popular course at the moment, the Graduate Diploma of Early Childhood. We have an intake coming up in August. If you have a student in Australia, you can apply up until the 24th of August for that intake, and a student can start there, or the student can start in the T5 intake. From T1 next year, the grad dip will be going to Perth. The Masters of Teaching will launch in Sydney and Melbourne and Perth, which means that you can package a grad dip student with the Master of Teaching in one of the metro campuses, which is a very good opportunity. All of the students at the metro campuses can access our Career Edge program, which is a job readiness and internship program. Every one of our students receives a scholarship. The lowest scholarship they'll get is $5,000. Most students get a scholarship for $8,000. That'll happen automatically. It appears on the offer letter. You don't need to apply separately. You can just go ahead and submit the application. Outside of that, we highly recommend that you access the admissions portal that John just showed you. It's got genuine student requirements. If you can lodge a complete application, John and the team will get back to you within 1 business day with a provisional offer letter. So if you've got students coming into you, get an offer letter from Southern Cross, give the student the offer, lock them in before they go down the street and go and talk to someone else. It's a really good opportunity for you there. Outside of that, I think we're now starting to get some questions coming through there in the chat. John Crowder, there are a lot of questions earlier about packaging the graduate diploma with the Masters of Teaching. Is there anything specific that you would like to mention about that package? Is there anything that agents need to know about that?
Nothing specifically, Adam. I guess we've only just received the CRICOS registration for the Master of Teaching, so the course is not yet available on StudyLink. A request has gone through for that to happen, so we're anticipating that that should be up on StudyLink by early next week. As Adam mentioned, the Masters will be starting from term 1 next year, so we can technically issue packaged offers immediately as soon as that course is available in StudyLink. For the graduate diploma, we do have intakes in term 4, which is August, and term 5, which is October. So we can start packaging with those immediately. The difference, I guess, between the courses is that for the graduate diploma, the English requirement is IELTS or equivalent of 6.5 with no band less than 6.5, whereas for the Masters, it is an IELTS 7 with no band less than 7. So if a student wants to come into the Masters and doesn't have the IELTS 7, they can package with the graduate diploma at the IELTS 6.5 and will be considered to have met the IELTS 7 when they commence the Masters. The first year, which is the graduate diploma, is the same as the first year of the Masters. So they would get full credit from the graduate diploma into the Masters and go directly into that second year.
Okay, thanks, John. Now we have some other questions here. One question comes from Bala. It says, all of the applications to any campus will be treated as SCU. So just to clarify, so all of the applications will go in through StudyLink. You should see the main campuses, for example, Lismore, Gold Coast. You'll then see Sydney, Melbourne, Perth. All of the applications go in through that system. they then actually go to a different admissions team. So there's an admissions team for Sydney, Melbourne, Perth that John runs, and there's a main campus admissions team. Today, we're just talking about Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, and John's team will turn around an application and get you an offer letter within 1 business day, as long as it's a complete application. But that is a different team to the main campus. We have a question here, John. This might be a good one for you to answer from Sangam Studies. Does someone who has a 485 visa, do they need to apply for a student visa to study at SCU?
No. So as most of you should be aware, from the 1st of July this year, it is no longer possible for a 485 visa holder to transfer back to a student visa onshore. If they have been a 485 visa holder and they want to apply for another student visa, they must leave Australia and apply from offshore. Most of our graduate diploma of education, early childhood students are on a 485 visa. So as long as they can complete that course within the duration of the 485 visa, we will accept them. We cannot accept a student who is on a 485 visa that will expire in 6 months, who then want to try to apply for a student visa again. That wouldn't be permitted.
Alrighty. Thanks, John. I've got some more admissions and visa related questions here. So do we accept visa refusals from any countries? This one's from Bangladesh, but what are the general rules for previous visa refusals?
Yes, so let me put it this way. We don't automatically reject an application just because they have had a visa refusal. However, if the student has had a previous visa refusal, they will need to be able to explain that refusal and provide evidence that the reasons for the refusal no longer exist. This is why I said earlier, if the student has had a previous visa refusal, they must provide a copy of the visa refusal notice with the decision record. The admissions team will then look at the reasons for the refusal and determine whether or not we believe the student has a good chance of getting a visa grant the second time around. An example of when we may accept is where, for example, the student has had a previous visa refusal because they failed to show sufficient finances. If they can provide us evidence that they have sufficient finances and are able to provide that documentation to immigration for their next visa application, we may approve that. All visa refusals are considered on a case-by-case basis and not rejected automatically.
All right. Thanks, John. We've had a few questions there, which I think Sandra has helpfully answered about backlogs from India, and Sandra's answered that 10 is usually accepted. That can also be checked on the admissions guide that John just shared before. There's a specific question about Bangladesh there. I'd recommend checking that on the admissions guide as well, because it'll just apply to Bangladesh. John, this is a question I think we know the answer, but I'm not 100% sure. If a student signs up for the Masters of Teaching and departs after 1 year, can they get the exit award of a grad dip? I believe the answer is yes, but do you know the answer to that one?
Yes, that is correct. So as long as the student has completed the first year, as I said earlier, the first year of the Masters is the same as the graduate diploma. If they complete that first year, they can exit with the graduate diploma.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And there's a few different questions here, John, that are about gap. So there's one specifically after 12th grade how many years gap. Would you be able to just run through the general guidelines for gaps, and then they should be referring to the admissions guide as well?
So we have tried to simplify this as much as possible. Generally speaking, a student who has finished 12th grade is allowed up to 1 year of gap. So 6 months without any explanation. So if they've completed their 12th grade, it's less than 6 months. We don't need any explanation. Between 6 and 12 months, they must explain what they have been doing in that gap and provide evidence. For postgraduate students, the gap is 5 years. Now, when we're talking about gap, sometimes people misunderstand this. We are talking about a study gap. So if a student, a postgraduate student, graduated from their bachelor degree in 2017, that exceeds the 5-year gap. Even if they have been working, we're not talking about their employment, we're talking about study. If the student graduated in 2020, they do not yet exceed that 5-year gap. So that's how it's counted.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, John. There's a couple of questions there about scholarships again. So I'll just quickly run through how they work. So every application that comes in is assessed for a scholarship, and every student receives a scholarship on their offer letter. The minimum a student will get is $5,000. The most common scholarship for first year is actually $8,000. So that's for the first year. The amount of the scholarship for the second year onwards depends on the student's GPA. If they have a GPA of 5.5, they can get an $8,000 scholarship onward from there. For education, it's slightly different. Every student gets a $5,000 scholarship off the 1-year course, but if they have a GPA of 5 out of 7, they'll get an $8,000 scholarship. So for this course, most students get the 5. Some students with very good previous grades come out with the $8,000 scholarship. They're automatically applied. They're on the offer letter, no extra forms. And that'll be assessed when the application comes in. I think Chi Nguyen just asked that same question there. I'd like to confirm that in order to maintain the scholarship for the next year, students have to achieve a GPA of 4 out of 7. That's correct information. 4 to 7 to maintain a scholarship. That's what they need to do. If they fail, then they're going to lose their scholarship from there. All right, we have time for just a couple more questions. There's one here about sponsors. That's an area we haven't really touched on a lot today, but John Crowder, question here from Beck Global about sponsors. Would you accept the in-laws as a main sponsor for the married applicant?
So generally speaking, we will accept parents, parents-in-law, grandparents, and spouse. We do not usually accept siblings or aunts and uncles unless there are exceptional circumstances. So, for example, if the student's main sponsor, the father, had passed away, we may consider an aunt or uncle as an additional sponsor, but generally speaking, no. But in-laws, yes, we will accept.
All right, good one. Thanks, John. A couple of questions here about credit transfer. Pratibha is asking, does Southern Cross allow credit transfer after completing 1 year in India or Sri Lanka?
So we would not accept a student who had commenced a degree in their home country and is not intending to complete that. Reason being is the student would be highly regarded by immigration as being a non-genuine student because they have commenced a degree that they can do in their home country. You'd all be aware that one of the main reasons we see immigration refusing visas is where they say the student was unable to provide any strong reasons why they needed to study this course in Australia if the course was available in their home country. So if a student starts in their home country and then attempts to transfer here, we won't accept those students.
All right. Okay. Thank you, John C. And we may just have time for one more question. There's quite a few questions here from Bangladesh, I've noticed today. Let's just pick one before we wrap up. Will Southern Cross accept a 2-year diploma after their year 12 from Bangladesh?
No, we don't. So we won't accept pathways. So we will accept the student directly from 12th grade. If you're talking about, so a student has completed their 12th grade and then done a 2-year diploma, no, we've seen a high rate of visa refusals for cases like that. So we won't accept them.
Okay. All right. Thanks very much, John. And just to recap the main points once more, the main campus agents will have received a contract in the last 2 weeks that now covers Melbourne, Sydney and Perth. We do have a separate admissions team and a separate recruitment team. We'll be sharing this PowerPoint tomorrow with you, but these are your recruitment contacts for Melbourne, Sydney, Perth campus. A reminder that we do have an intake coming up in August for the Grad Dip Early Childhood. Apps are open until the 28th. If you have offshore students, we still have time until the 2nd of August to take apps for T5 for Sydney, Melbourne and Perth. A reminder that if you put your app in and it's complete, you will get an offer letter within a business day there as well. So with that, I'd like to wrap up. I'd like to thank all of the Southern Cross staff for attending, all of our agent partners, representatives out there. Good to see some old faces on the call. Please stay in touch with us. We're looking forward to working with you again, if we've worked with you. But thanks for attending today. We'll send this out tomorrow. And thanks once again. Stay safe, everyone.